Well, if you love violence, you've come back to the right place. Once again, here we are on The Fight Guys with your host, Erik Apple, and I'm joined by one of my favorite people, not just in MMA, but in the whole world, my buddy. Welcome, Chuck Liddell.
How you doing, brother?
It's very good to see your face. It's been too long. Normally we see each other quite a bit, but this last, 6-9 months, we've been busy.
Yeah, I've been all over the place. It's been a crazy year.
Well, before we start talking about combat sports stuff, I want to ask you about your engagement. You're getting married. You
must be happy. Get married soon. I'll get you the invite out soon. So
I feel like you're like me. You like to have a woman in your life who's positive and gives you good direction and likes to give you positive reinforcement. You need it, just like me.
Oh yeah, I like someone who treats me. Yeah, she does a good job of taking care of me. So that's nice.
And I feel like guys like you and I, we need a little bit of direction in our life.
Yeah, we need someone to put the brakes on every once in a while too.
Okay, let's talk about some current events. I want to have some fun with you on this stuff, Chuck. Ilia Topuria this last weekend, man, that dude is pretty impressive. Moving up a weight class and immediately putting Charles Oliveira down in the first round. Is he the real deal in your opinion?
He's tough, man. He looks it. You know, he's got to get some really tough competition, and he's just a beast.
Are you impressed by his ability to switch stances and land punches from any angle as well?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's great. That's something I used to like to do. I didn't switch stances much, but I throw from a lot of different angles, and you know that makes it hard to defend.
Yeah, for sure. Somebody else who we have some news about today, it sounds like he might be getting a rematch for his light heavyweight belt. I know through Glover you have a relationship with Poatan, Alex Pereira. Is he somebody that really excites you to watch as well?
Oh yeah, he's exciting. He's fun to watch. And I just like his attitude too. He loves to fight, man. He loves that. He's just relaxed out there. He's that calmness, and you know, he's got lightning in both hands, man. He hits hard.
And his feet, I'd say.
Oh yeah. He's got I guess we leave that out, but his feet too. He's good. He's dangerous all the time.
Yeah, and his ability with those calf kicks, that's something that our generations didn't really get too deep into, the calf kicks, but that's such a popular thing now.
Yeah, I really can't comment too much on it because I never had too many people going after it. Back then our generation didn't really have that. People trying to do it. I mean, I don't know. I used to my counter for a good leg kick in MMA was to throw a right hand. Yeah. So because guys don't like it, you get them eat a couple right hands, they stop throwing kicks.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's get to something fun. Someone who we both have had a lot of thoughts on in the past before, Jon Jones. He quit last week. This is after putting off this fight for almost a year, which I'm pretty sure you're going to say it was kind of a weak thing to do. But did you see the body cam stuff that came out of him last week and what went down as far as his arrest?
Dude, I stay away from all that stuff. Like I said, I stay away from the drama. There's too much nowadays. There's too much manufactured drama and there's too much drama in the sport anyway. I just, I like watching fights. I don't have the time to deal with other people's issues. I have enough of my own.
With Jon, though, a lot of people have these questions, and I hate this term. Is he the GOAT? Is he the greatest of all time? But with all the controversy, his suspensions, his picograms, nanograms, getting in trouble for drugs and this, that, this is now his third, hit and run accident that he's had now with this one announced last week. Does all that stuff kind of ruin his legacy as a fighter, or do you think it doesn't matter?
There's two different ways to look at it. It's what you do just as a fighter or I think, but when you start talking GOAT, you kind of talk about their whole career, their whole the way that they carry themselves, and I agree with a lot of people that say it's hard to say that with someone who's been caught for performance enhancing drugs, like that. That's one of those things. But that whole GOAT thing is one of those things that's a bunch of people talking.
Yeah, it's like
But yeah,
it's like a made up thing in their mind, right? There's no way to do it.
yeah, like it's like pound for pound. That same thing for me. Like pound for pound, the different styles. When for 125 pounders fight a lot different than heavyweights,
Yeah, that's for
or
sure.
everywhere in between. Styles wise.
Well, let me ask you, you know, I know for a fact that you were really good at having fun your entire career, and I was right there behind you half the time. Why is it that some people like, and I don't want to pick on Jon Jones too much, but why is it that he can't seem to have a bunch of fun and not get in trouble?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Some of it just he needs. I don't think he had people around him to. Someone's got to pull in the reins. No one had to pull that. Someone he needs some pulling the reins, and someone making sure. I had my brother follow me around, making sure I didn't do anything stupid. You know, yeah, that making. I had someone looking out for me. I think he needs a little more of that in his life.
I think we could both safely say that he would have saved hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for himself if he just had a driver all the time.
That's good. That's a number one. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, that definitely gets you in trouble. That leads me to my next question. We've talked about this before, but are you still a believer that you've forgotten more fun stuff in your life than half these guys have ever experienced?
Well, that's a good possibility for a lot of people. I've had so many good times, so many great memories. I mean, and even just like stuff having to do with fighting and having to do with fans, I remember things that people never, that I remember. Oh yeah, I remember that. Someone will come tell me the story. Oh yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have fans or people come up to you with a memory or something that maybe you did for them or an experience you had with them, and you don't even remember it, but it made that dude's day, and he'll remember it the rest of his life.
Yeah, for sure. And or they remind me. A lot of times, people remind me. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, I remember that part. And that what we did there or what we did there. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was fun. I forgot. Yeah. I totally forgot we did that.
Okay, let's switch it up a little bit. I want to ask you, because nobody really asked you about this stuff. You fought in Pride a couple times. Now, I know you had your title in UFC. You had some of the biggest fights ever in the history of the sport. But is it like an extra little notch in your belt to have fought and won in Pride? Like, is that kind of an extra thing in your mind? Like, hey, I'm glad I got to do that once.
I'm glad I got the experience. Yeah. For sure. I don't know if it's an extra notch in my belt, but it was cool. It was a cool experience to go over there and fight for the crowd over there. It's a different crowd. They understand this. They understood a lot of different parts of the sport that at the time other people didn't. And that, but they, like that, they cheer. Well, it's weird cheer. Ooh, quiet. That's okay. That's it. They do that with the guy past guard. And they're ooh. But
yeah, it's so cool.
If anyone has ever fought there, you have to understand it's so quiet there. I remember I was there. I always tell this story about I'm there yelling for. I was there. I fought, and Henderson was fighting. I'm screaming at him. My brother's tapping me. Hey, because I'm not sure what I was saying, but he was tapping me. I was a little worried about what I guess I was yelling something. But I'm screaming for him, and it's like, and I have my headphones on, so I didn't really realize it. I just come out, and I didn't realize he's all like, they can hear you in the ring. It's like, like, oh wow, it's just quiet. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. So it was pretty funny.
Were you doing that from the corner or from the back?
No, I was I came out on like a little from the back. We was up a little ways, and I came out so I could watch from the back. So
that's so funny.
I watched it. So I'm standing there like screaming. I'm like,
I mean, that's kind of a pretty cool nostalgic thing. I mean, you got to fight. You fought Pele in full Vale Tudo, no holds barred in Brazil. You got to fight in Japan. I mean, that's something that these guys we just mentioned, Ilia Topuria, Alex Pereira, Jon Jones, Conor McGregor. Those guys are big names like yourself, but they never got to experience like that part of the sport. So I think, you kind of went out as far as the experience level.
Oh yeah, that was. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different things that would happen that way. It would have been nice to be as big as it is now when I started. Then I wouldn't give up all the experience I had. Growing the sport, doing stuff we did. Traveling and so many great times just trying to promote the sport.
Yeah, I mean, you really were, a pioneer and paved the road for all these guys. Let's switch it up a little bit. What do you think about the current direction of the UFC? Other than Ilia Topuria and Alex Pereira, are there guys that excite you to watch? Are there guys that you really like? Well, actually, hey, so and so's fighting. I actually care about watching this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of good fights. Almost every card has a few good fights on it that I want to see. So, it's nice to, at least the big cards, for sure.
Okay. Let's talk about this. I never heard anyone ask you this question, so I wanted to ask you. Everyone knows Dana White, the promoter, but Dana White before that was your manager. Tell me what he was like as a manager.
Oh, he's a great manager. He was the guy going after. He was going after stuff other people weren't. He wasn't trying to get me on Black Belt magazine. He was trying to get on fitness magazines. He was trying to get more. He would, and then when the first offer, as my manager, he got from the UFC for he told me to go pound sand. I wouldn't make me get off his couch for that. And then when I'd go fight somewhere else, I won, and I came back, and it was probably the deal was at least 5 or 10 times higher.
That's cool.
So it's one of those things that he was a good manager.
Yeah. Okay. I just never heard anyone ask you that one. Let's keep changing gears. I love just throwing random stuff at you, but I know you have thoughts on it. Let me ask you this: is Jake Paul doing everything right? Because I want you to know, as of yesterday morning, he is ranked 14th now by the WBA in the cruiserweight division because he beat a ranked fighter, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Now, listen, I know Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. wasn't in the best shape, obviously. I know it's been 7-8 years since he's been a champion. But Jake Paul's management, the way they're controlling it, they just, as far as I'm concerned, these guys are brilliant. What do you think?
Well, yeah, they're doing a good job. And, I was always saying before, a lot of the stuff was if boxing used it for what it was. I went to one of the shows, and it was, that was the main thing. But, they had real fights leading up to that. They had real boxing matches leading up to that. And if you use that to get a lot of people watching that don't watch fighting at all. Because they're just they're just watching because it's a spectacle. So if those fights are good, if you get people eyes on them, people like boxing, it might bring fans to boxing. So, but I don't know. The whole thing, it's just weird.
It's crazy, but can you hate on him? I mean, the guy's making tens of millions of dollars every fight for a sport that he's only been doing 5 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's. I don't hate on anyone that's making people money.
Yeah.
So he's making fighters money, so that's okay. But it's just funny. I see he's complaining like people. I'm going to sue people if they call it fake. Maybe more my fight's fake. I'm like, okay, great. You're going to sue people. Great, yeah, whatever.
Well, I just think that they've picked the exact right people. They'll go from fighting a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson to an MMA fighter who hasn't fought in 5 years to Julio Cesar Chavez, who
there was a wrestler.
And Asker, correct.
Not a striker. Which one wasn't a wrestler? I don't know, but they were all had to fought. But
yeah, I mean, for real fighters, it's kind of a trip, and we're like, wait, this doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem very authentic. But as far as to the general public, to people who don't know fighting like we do, they look at it and go, man, he's doing great.
Yeah. I'm happy for him. Great. If he keeps making money, if people want to watch it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta get going. So, yeah.
You gotta make it to the airport.
Yeah, I gotta get that. Well, I gotta wrangle up all the kids and get them in the car to go to the airport. So that makes it a little harder.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving me 20 minutes this morning, brother. And I expect to see you soon down here in the summertime. Come down to Newport or Huntington. And thanks for joining the fight, guys.
All right, thanks, bro. Thanks.